the implementations, meaning whether we should be using any standard components or we have to build custom components. Based on that, we decide. So when we create the custom component, the latest way of creating the custom component is the LWC, right? So that's how we started discussing our first session, and then we have talked a little bit about the JavaScript different versions when it started, how it was named. I showed you the references of W3 schools, how you should look at all different technologies and languages, and you can get this version, get these pages into this link. We have talked about how in 2014 web stack we had several challenges for using different frameworks in the JavaScript, and we had less web standard and more framework. But as we pass by years, we have more web standard and less framework, right? And we also talked about uh, the lightning component framework and all this one. We talked about, if we are using Aura, then how we can coexist Aura and LWC with. So if you are creating Aura, you can keep on creating Aura until it is decommissioned. But recommendation is to create the Lightning Web component and then embed that as a component into the Aura. But the other way is not true. Meaning, if you are in Lightning Web component, you have to create the Lightning Web component only. You cannot create Aura component and then embed the Aura component into the Lightning Web component. We have not talked all this because this is not needed at this point of time. I'll explain things to you guys. And we have written a small component where we have displayed the hello world, right? And then I asked you guys to install the Visual Studio, install the Salesforce Service Pack extensions, and then create the hello world component, and then associate the component into your home page or any other page, and then see how it works, right? So were you able to do all this at your end? Could you please confirm?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Suman.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So uh, I mean, today also we will go a little slow because the few first uh, uh, sessions would be the adoptions. How you, I mean, you might feel like, okay, this is hello world only, small things we are taking time to understand. But as you understand all these things, so later from the next session, probably next week, when we will talk about some advanced topic, you will be familiar. You can correlate all the discussions that we slowly discussed initially, and then it will help you to learn the complex or the advanced items. Okay. So while you have done this, you may have seen there is one thing called, if I open my terminal, I'm not sure how many of you use command prompt. So command prompt in the Windows and terminal is in the Mac OS. So if I clear this one, right? So there is one command prompt called CLI, Salesforce command line interface, right? So these are the, command line interface that you can use, but as you have visual code, right? So if you look at this one, if you if you have opened this, Visual Studio Code, right, you see all these outputs are happening, right? So if you look at the this window, I don't know why my machine got very slow for last couple of weeks.
Suman, sorry to interrupt. Can you please enlarge little bit?
Uh,
It's difficult to see. It's very small font.
yeah, I mean this. Okay, so let me see. Can we go to the view? Where is the preference? Preference. Give me some time, guys. Can't make it 20 that work. Is this better?
Yeah.
This is better.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you look at this Visual Studio Visual Code interface, right? Studio interface. You will see this in this palette. We write our code. All the files can be opened here. Left side panel are different Explorer extensions. So if you click on this one, right, this will show you all different extensions that you can install and uninstall. These are the other things that we will discuss later. And here in the bottom, you see where you are connected. We can also do live sharing. I mean, while we do coding, we can share our share our pages, and then we can write code together. There are several other things that you can see here. And in this panel, you see the outputs means what are the outputs. So if you see this one, I mean, when we create the files, or when we retrieve or deploy, right? So behind the scene, it is all uh, running the command, right? So that command actually does all these jobs. Okay, so uh, if you look at the UI, from the UI, you are doing the right click and then selecting something, but behind the scene, it is taking the command and then executing those commands. So if you look at this one, it does SFDX force web login alias our training instance and all this, right? So this command were executed. That's where you saw you have to log in, and then you have to connect and authorize your user ID with the org. Okay, and that's how it is connected. Now when you when you do and go create the lightning web component, this is the command. This is the all commands that you can execute. You see, when we deploy the force source deploy source path and all, right? So those are the commands that are being executed behind the scene, right? So now if you go and uh, open your terminal or the command prompt, right? And if you write down SFDX, meaning Salesforce Development Experience, right? And then hit enter, you will get to see which version of the SFDX CLI you are using. Hmm? So it will just come and it says, see, this is the versions, and these are the how you can use this one. What are the topics and command you can have it, right? So if I just say like SFDX and then help, it will give you different command that you can you would need to know, right? But uh, let's say I'm doing SFDX. Uh, mm, I have written few comments here. So let's say SFDX. If you don't know this one, right? So I mean, if you don't understand, what I should write after this one. So in that case, you can write, hyphen hyphen help, which will give you what are the further commands you can use. So if you look at this one, right? So if I want to see how what are the org that I have I have connected, right? So this list all the org you have created or authenticated to, right? So if I just execute this command, it will show me what are all my org that I have connected, right? So you see, this is the last one that we talked, but before that, I have all these three uh, connected previously, and this is the one I have done in front of you, right? So if you go uh, and do all these commands, right? So if you run this command uh, on your command in the terminals or in the command line, you get to see that you are the org that you are working is showing connected. Okay, so you can disconnect this one, and there are other different uh, retrieve and deploy. If you look at this one, right, it says, see, validate. The retrieve command is this one. So when we go right click and retrieve, right, so this is the whole package.xml. So the associated uh, work that I do with this command, right, so it actually retrieves the all the components or the metadata that is written in the package.xml and deploy them in, I mean, load them into this folder from this connected org, right? So if I go here into your studio, and then if I right click here and then do a retrieve source in manifest from org, this actually does that. I mean, in behind the scene, it actually runs that command and then gets all the files that are there in the org and then uh, retrieve into the folder that you have mentioned. Okay, so that is how it works. I mean, for you, you may not need to know much SFDX commands, because initially, when we have seen the evolution of LWC, it was not there before. So when they started the LWC, it was majorly the SFDX command that we had to use, to interact with Salesforce for the LWC. But as the days passed by, we uh, we have got all those commands in the UI, and then slowly we are not using all those CLI commands through the terminals, right? So it is all evolving. I mean, uh, initially you will have nothing, but slowly when the evolution happens or the updates are coming, so you get to see more things, more relevant things in your way, or in a simpler way. Okay.
Suman, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have one queries. Last day you have told about manifest. I do not really get what exactly manifest is.
I mean, there is. I mean, you don't have to think what is the manifest. I mean, can you give me the example where I mentioned that?
Yeah, no, actually, whenever I was trying to create a new project, that time after writing SFDX colon, so create a new project in SFDX. Sorry, in manifest. I have got that. So that is why I want to ask that what is manifest?
Oh, you mean create project with manifest,
Yes,
this one, right?
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
This is nothing but, it will give you this structure. This will manifest the project. Okay, so what are the folders and the components are needed to create a LWC project, LWC project and the structures. That is the manifest. I mean, you can simply create a project, but it will not. It will have a blank folder only. It will have no structure. So when we talk about the structure, where we have all these layouts and everything, right? You see the config, SFDX, VS Code, application aura classes, and all this structure. So this is the whole manifest. Okay, so it is creating for you.
Okay,
It is actually giving everything you needed. That's it.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So one thing that is in the terminal, if I click on sfdxforce.org colon list, so I have already clicked do that, and I just get CCI Dev Hub one, and one is training that I created.
Mhm.
So that
Right.
is okay, right?
Yeah, that is okay. Yeah, because
Okay.
that's why you
So
know.
active scratch.
Yeah, those are all your active. Dev Hub we will talk later, because those are some advanced things that we have to discuss, because you guys are all admin certified. I mean,
Yeah.
while we are focusing most on the LWC, but those are the terms that you need to know,
Okay.
because Dev
Sure.
Hub needs to be enabled to work with the SFDX and all, right. So I will explain all this later, because if I go and explain all this now, then you might get confused. I mean,
No, no,
what are.
not. I'm not telling that. I'm just saying that I have seen those two alias username, God ID, and connector set. So this is fine, right?
Yeah, this is fine. These are all fine.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So now, uh, so try to explore the SFDX command if you are willing to, but you don't have to all the time, because mostly you will have you would be uh, developing your code through the VS Code, not through the terminal. But sometimes when we do deployment from one org to other org, right. In that case, you have to uh, make use of SFDX, because maybe let's say um, you are implementing some continuous deployment. In that case, you may need to script things, and then in those scripts you may need to use SFDX command to move code or the components from one instance to other instance. But in your regular in your regular work life, you will not need much. But because we have started with SFDs, we sometimes get comfortable working on those commands. But gradually you will get most of the things in the VS Code. Okay. So now, few things which we may need to talk about, how the when we, let's say, declare some variables or classes and everything, how we declare. There are few standards that we use. Okay. The uh, very common use cases you may have studied in your college life is the camel case and Pascal cases, right? So do you guys have any idea on all these styling while you do the coding? What is camel case and what is Pascal case?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Umar.
Can anyone tell?
So camel case, the word's first letter is small, and the uh, after the it's capital for each word.
Right. So if you look at this one, thank you for explaining that one. In the camel case, you see the very first letter. It looks like camel. If you look at the camel, right, their face is starting uh, at the low, and more you go to the backside, it goes up. So it looks like a camel, which means it starts with an lower case, and then when you add the word or meaningful meaning into the declaration, you may need to use the upper cases. So if you look at this one, so camel and the case, these are two words, but as I'm concatenating these two words to make a single meaningful uh, naming. So that's why the for the camel it starts with small c, and then case is the capital C. The Pascal case is also like that, where uh, the 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 first letter of the first word starts with the uppercase, and then the subsequent letter in the subsequent words are also starting with the uppercase. Okay, so all are upper cases. So let's say if I want to declare let's say my class. Okay, so how do I do it? Let's say if I want to declare my class, so in the camel case it would be my class. Okay, if I want to declare the same thing in Pascal, it would be like this: my class. Okay, so you see the these are the words, and then the first letter is up lowercase and the uppercase, and in the Pascal case, it's all uppercase. Okay, there are two more. One is called snake case, and one is called kebab case. So snake case is like combine the word by replacing each space with an underscore. So in my cases, what I do is uh, I do like this: my underscore. So this is my snake case. Okay, so it actually concats with an underscore. So kebab case is like a kebab. You see, the different ingredients are joined together, right? And that's why we see the kebab. And it is like the snake case, it is with underscore, and in the kebab case, it is with the hyphen. So if I do like this, it would be like my hyphen. It would be, sorry, my is taking the upper case, but it should not be the upper case actually. My class. Okay. So most of the Salesforce LWC internally follows the uh, kebab case pattern. Okay. So we will see that when we declare classes and everything. I mean, how system is uh, converting the class that you are declaring into the kebab case, that we will see. Okay. Now we have done this one. Hello world is something we have done. Now, if I let's say go to the Visual Studio Code, right? So what are the in this hello world, right? This is the component that we have created, and then you see there are couple of files that are created by default. Okay, so one is the HTML file where you write all your HTMLs. all your templates. I mean, what you want to display is something you write here. Hmm? And for this HTML, you have the JavaScript behind the scene. Hmm? This is my JavaScript. Okay, and this is my metadata file where I declare, I mean, what is my version of the file, whether it is exposed to the external world for using it into app builder or somewhere else. What are my targets? I mean, if it is exposed, then what are the uh, uh, target locations that can be used, and there are several other things that we will discuss, right? So in a file, these three are created by default. And there are one more you can create is the CSS. Okay, CSS. Why the CSS is not given by default? Because Salesforce is expecting that you would be using or mostly the out of the box styles that are given by Salesforce, so that if Salesforce tomorrow changes the styles, you don't need to make any changes, right? So let's say we have in a school, right? In a school, I have mentioned that this is our school dress. So any students who goes to the schools wear that specific dress. Okay, you don't use your own dress, but there could be someday where we'll say, okay, come with whatever dress you want to wear with. So they in that day they might come with any dresses. So it is like that. I mean, if you are not using any CSS, you are actually following all the styles that are given by the Salesforce, and it is using by default. But if you need to mention any specific style, in that case, you have to add one file by right clicking, add file, and then we will see that how we can create one file with the CSS. But it doesn't come by default. Okay, if you want to use any specific CSS, then you have to add that file and then put your content in the style, and then you can use it. There is one good site which is called LIGHTNI Lightning Design System, LDS. So Lightning Designing System is the Salesforce website where they declare what are the styles that they are using. Okay, so if you look at this one, right, so here you can download all different icon and use it. We'll see some examples later. Hmm. uh, if you see the component blueprint, right, let's say button. You may have seen we have buttons look like this. How these buttons were created. Hmm. So these are the basic structure. So if you see this one, SLDS button, SLDS button neutral, right? You see all these. So now if I go to the component reference, right, and then uh, you see button, right, and then you see the basic buttons, right, and you see the base neutral brand and a brand outline, destructive text success, right? So if I want to use this button in my HTML, right? So what am I doing is I'm seeing the lightning button, hmm, and then let's say this one. Okay, let me use this one, and then I'll show you. Let's say I go here in the HTML, and then I just pasted this one. So what I am doing, I am using a lightning button. So what is the lightning? Lightning is the base component classes for the Salesforce. Meaning, so let's say I'm using this template, right? So Salesforce has made few components. So like what we have seen in this example, you can directly use some standard component. So there are two things, right? This is very important to understand. Please, stop me if you have any question here. So when I click on edit pages, right? Let's say edit page. There are two things. One is the standard components. What does the standard component means? Means it is doing some work, right? It is doing some work, and you can use your custom component also, right? If you don't see all these components are uh, fulfilling your need, right? So now when you create your component, what you might need, like let's say I I come here and I click on the opportunity. Hmm. I click on the opportunity and then I click this new button. Okay, when I click the new button, so I see this save button is coming, right? So you can think of this as a full component, and then within the component there are text boxes, there are date fields, there are drop downs. Okay, there are several things, and also a save button, right? So let's say I want to create a save button like this in my component. How do I do that? Can anyone tell me?
You can use lightning button. I mean,
Button group also.
Yeah, I can use the lightning button. Let's say you don't know about the lightning button yet.
then you need to code for that button.
Yeah, so I need to write many code for that button, right?
Yeah.
If I need to code for this button, where do I get these styles and this look and feel, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Salesforce is giving this this these statements. So button is a HTML button, and if you use this class, right? If you use this class, you get to see this button. So let me try this one first. So if I, let's say, this one, use, guys, this is very important. Okay, you have to understand the concept, not the code can be done anytime. If you know the concept, it will be very much clear to you. So what is this button? Button is nothing but a HTML element, right? If I go to the W3 schools and then uh, let's say I search for button. So HTML button tag, right? So you see, this is the button, right? So now what I'll do is let me just do this one. Copy. If I go here, so I just do this one. Now let me deploy the source to. Let's see what it comes. Okay. This is very basic concept that you all have to understand. You may, I mean, a lot of people may already know. See, everything has a, I mean, every outcome has a cause. Okay, so you should ask always why I am getting this. and then go to the deep root of the outcome. I mean, it is just not coming as a magic, right? So you have to understand why it is coming and from where it is coming. Now, if I go back to my here and go to my home pages, do you see the button?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, if I want to compare this button with, let's say, this, for example, new button. Let's say this. Is it similar?
No,
No,
So why it is not similar?
because this click
style is
me button is with
style is not.
simple. Yeah, styling is not there,
Uh,
and there
Yes,
is
Style,
already.
style is not applied, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to, use this, I mean, so initially when Salesforce, I mean, it is not very very, I mean, it was not very back, but 5 years back only, Salesforce had not created this LDS. They have not exposed. I mean, I think it was on 2015 or 2016 they have exposed this website, right? So now I have to struggle. I have to know, oh my god, what is this, how it looks, how do I make look like this one? Because see, look at the user experience. When they click on the opportunity, they see this button, right? But when I create a button here in my component, it looks different. So I have to make sure that it looks different, it looks same across the applications to have the same experience by the user, right? So what I had to do for this one, I had to use this one. Let's say now if I go and then, so it is all mentioned. I mean, I don't have to specify all this. It is all mentioned here. If I just click on this and then let's say deploy source. So this I mean, one single class, right? You see how it can make difference. It is taking some time. So yeah, so it is deployed successfully, right? So now if I let's say if I go to my here and then if I refresh this page, is it changed now? Does it look like this?
Yes.
So see, I mean, now do you know what is written here? So now understand this one. This is very important. Uh, so do you know what is written in this class? Inside the style, do I know?
Yes, it is branding button.
Hmm?
Branding button.
No,
Says
branding, but what kind of style? I mean, it has to be blue,
Salesforce Lightning Design
Right.
System.
right? So it is. I mean, behind the scene, I mean, there must be different borders, different background, different
Yes, yes.
different color. All these are different padding. All these are included, right? So I don't need to know this one. I just need to use this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now look at the beauty here. As I'm using this one, okay, let's say, and Salesforce is also using this class behind the scene, right? So
Yeah.
now
Yes.
tomorrow they have they change the color of this save button, the blue button, as red, for example. Okay, so in that case, what color will I have here?
Red color.
Red.
Red, because they will make the impact in the style class that they have exposed, right?
Yes.
So they
Yes.
will make the changes into that style. So
Yeah.
now try to understand, if I would not have used this class and I created my own button, right? So let's say let's take this example. Let's take this example. Sorry, control Y. Let's take this example, this one, and let's take these two examples, right? So now if I deploy the source, so now if I go back, right, and let's say uh, I go here, and let's say here I also can provide some styles that I'll show you later. But I mean, you know that, right? I mean, if I want to apply the style there, I can apply the style in that button. So let's say I have these two button, right? So now tomorrow, and let's say I have applied style here same as this one. Now tomorrow, if Salesforce change this color from blue to red, so I have to manually go and change the color here, right, in this style. Hmm? So it would be
Yes.
it is a huge task for me to apply the style across the applications. I mean, I'm giving you the example for this button only. That is applicable for anything else I'm using in my components, right? So now let's say again I have to let's say name something different, give the value. There are few other things that I need to use on this button. So that's why what Salesforce has done, Salesforce say, okay, don't make your HTML button, don't apply my style. There are other things that is similar to me what you want to use. So that's where they come up with the concept of creating the base components. They come up by creating the base components. So if I use this one, if you look at this one, right, title, label, variant, branding. So I don't have to say, now let's say if I want to use the neutral, right, neutral, what I have to do, I have to go here and then see for the neutral the styles are different, right? So if I use this button, I have to, let me use this one. So let's say I'm using, if this is a neutral button, see I have this different style to be used, right? So now uh, if I just deploy this one to the source. So if I use button and then apply Salesforce styles, I have to specifically mention somewhere in the class or somewhere else to let the system know, like this is the kind of button I'm going to use. Right now, if I'm coming here and then do this one. So see, one is the neutral and one is the branded, right? Now, if Salesforce is saying, okay, you don't have to remember all these classes, what is there, what is there and what is not, and other than the class, there are other attributes that you can set also, right? So you don't have to go and then look for all these. So instead, what you can do, you use my lightning button, and you can mention, what is the size of the button and everything. So if you look at this one, base, it's smaller. I can tell, like, what kind of what width, what is the width of the button that I'm planning to use, right? So if I go here and then instead of using this, I I just use this. Hmm? And then see, this is neutral. I can just change this to brand. It will be like branded then. So if I just use this and then deploy it to the org, deploy to the org, and then come here, you will see the same feeling. I mean, UI wise, you will not see much changes. You will see the same, brand or neutral, right? But I am not using any CSS or the standard HTML button, but directly using the base component. This is also a component, right? I mean, if you want to create a button, you have to write some code, right? So that's why it is called lightning button. Means this is the base component, and then they are giving me the buttons that I can make use of it. Okay, and that's how I use the button like this. Okay, and this my component uh, gave me the look and feel similar to the button that is there with the Salesforce. Now tomorrow, if they see, look at this one. I mean, there is no style mentioned here. What I mean, what is, I mean, only providing those labels and everything is defining what kind of style they need to apply behind the scene, right? So they have given us the abstraction, and they're not telling us what is behind the scene they are doing. So now if I would tell you, okay, use lightning button and then say the label, so you would know, like, okay, this is happening somehow, but what is happening behind the scene? So behind the scene there is a button, there is a style that they are applying. So then, I mean, whatever I showed you, it is happening behind the scene, right? So now, any question so far what we have discussed?
So
I really
Suman,
want to,
yes,
yeah.
I have a question. So what is the difference between lightning button and the UI button?
Lightning button and the UI button, right? So UI button, uh, where you used the UI button in
It's,
AWS?
actually, we mostly use lightning button, but there is also UI button present in the LWC. So,
Right. So
so actually, I want to know the difference.
yeah, I mean, if you look at this one, it was mostly in the aura, right?
Yes, yes.
So as I mentioned, if you see the history, right? So even before the UI button, what we have done is we have done the uh, uh, button and applied the style, like here, right? This one. So
Yes.
this was not related to any Salesforce specific attributes, though they have introduced this one, but there was, other than this, it is just a HTML button, right? So by
Yes.
by using these buttons, they have created this these UI buttons. Okay, so UI button can be used outside the Salesforce ecosystem. They try to make it available. Like, do you see? Answer me one thing. This button mentioned in the W3 school. Can you apply anywhere? Meaning, can I apply this in my Node.js or Angular or any other JavaScript languages, any other JavaScript page, any other framework?
Oh,
No. This is the basic version of the
yes, yes,
HTML,
yes.
which means
Base HTML
it,
button.
it
Yes,
can be used anywhere.
yes.
Okay. So what Salesforce did is Salesforce made an abstraction on top of this and then created the UI button, meaning wherever you are using UI, using the button, you can leverage this UI button in your code by writing. So see, this UI is the namespace, and then in button is the button. Okay, and then you see the Aura ID, button title, click, and all this one, right? So they made the abstraction and then created this UI namespace to use the button. Now what they did, okay, let me go one further step and then make it use for the whole lightning, and then that's where they have made another abstraction on top of this and then created this lightning button, and then um, gave other good features also. I mean, as far as I remember, the UI button can be used anywhere else also if you are using the Aura framework. See, Aura is a framework, right? Aura
Yes.
is a framework, and that you can use in any other language also, in any other places. So that's where it is recommended to use the UI buttons. But Lightning button is specific to the Salesforce application. Do you get it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So Aura is a framework that you can use with any other framework also, anywhere else. But when you are using this one, right, this is this Salesforce system. So this is the Lightning experience. And here you are using that Lightning, because Lightning components has got some specific things which are specific to the Salesforce only. But UI is more generic than the specific. Okay, but
Okay.
but this is what is, I mean, so HTML button plus something equal to UI button. Okay, and UI buttons plus some features equal to Lightning button. And what is that class? So that is specific to the Salesforce environment, Salesforce ecosystem.
Okay. So we can conclude that UI is the base and Lightning is the extension.
Yeah, you can conclude that way. I mean,
Okay.
it is not an extension; it is an enhancement
Yes. Yes.
for the Lightning framework. You can say.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but definitely you should not be using UI buttons for sure. If you are working in Salesforce application, you never should use UI buttons.
Yes.
But there are few things where we had to use UI buttons because some features were not available in Lightning button at this point of time. So when we started Aura in 2014 or 2020, early 2015, we had to use UI buttons for some cases. I still remember when I was giving training on the Aura, we had to use UI buttons in UI namespace for few things. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions from anyone else? I know there are a lot of non-development background folks. Are you guys able to follow? See, you are in the technology, so yes, either 0 or 1. Yes, I understand or I don't understand. Tell me, I mean, what I assume by your silence. I mean, is that a yes, I understand or I
So
don't understand?
yes, I understand.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
We understand.
Yeah.
yeah, I understand.
Okay, good. So now moving on. So I mean, I took some time to explain that one because that is really very basic understanding that you have to know. Otherwise, it would be little tough for you guys uh, uh, to comprehend things when you do the actual work, right? Now, have you noticed this one? If I go here and then look at the lightning button, right? Look at this. Do you see lightning hyphen button.
Yes.
What what uh, coding style it
Kebab.
is?
Kebab case.
Kebab case, right?
Kebab case.
You, you see all these one, these are all kebab case. You see this button hyphen group, button hyphen icon, button hyphen icon, hyphen state food, right? Button hyphen menus. All these are kebab case, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So everything has a reason. I mean, why you? I mean, you might feel, oh my God, why they said lightning hyphen button, right? So this actually represents a class or a component, and that is given like this. Hmm? If you and you see, this variant level title, because these are all one word attribute. That's why you don't see all these. But if it is a two-word attribute, then you will see a hyphen also. Hmm? But because these are all one word, that's why you see you don't see any hyphen. So level is simple level starting with small l, title with starting with small t. So all the case styles are mentioned like this. Hmm? Okay. Now moving on. So there is one more thing. You see, Salesforce naming file naming convention we talked. So you will see. I mean, how when we create one component, how it is translated with C hyphen L. We'll show you. But because hyphen is a reserved word, right? Hyphen is a reserved word that Salesforce uses. So while you create any folder or the file name, Salesforce will not allow you to name the file or folder with an hyphen. So if you try to make one file or the folder with an hyphen, it will not allow you, because hyphen is a reserved word for Salesforce. Okay, so you can test it, but that's how it works. Okay, now moving on. Like uh, I'm showing you how you can use different Salesforce based component. That would be a good use case for all of us to understand. So you see, this is a basic card, right? And if I go back to my example in my slide, it shows the same thing. So there are different way you can use the cards. Now I'm using that example that I showed you. So let me come back here, and then let me use that. There's something missing, I think. Okay, so there is one code formatter I have used, so you can use few formatter. You will get it in the extension, which will actually help you format your code. Format it. It's a bit. Why? What is happening? It's taking some time to apply it. Yeah, it is failed. I mean, there is some problem in my format. So let's not use this one. So here, if I now let's say deploy the source, right? So this is what Lightning card, and has some title. I have created uh, some content here, and that's how I'm using it. Okay. Bear with me, it is taking some time. Okay. So now if I go here and then look at my component here, I'll see I'll see this one, right? So welcome LWC. This is a test CSS class. So now if I let's say want to apply some style here, how do I do it, right? So that's what the so let's say I want some color to be applied here. So I want a font weight as bold and the color as green. Okay, and then I want to apply this in my div here, right? So what will I do is I have to create first a. I don't have anything to mention here, right? So I have to go here, create a file with the same name. Remember, you have to create a file with the same name, right? Hello, and then caps WRLD.CSS. Hmm? Now you see I have my CSS class created. It doesn't come by default, but if you really want to apply some CS style or CSS, you have to use it. And then I am declaring one class called body class. And the color is green and the font weight is bold. So it will show as bold and then green color. Okay, so where I want to apply, I want to apply this one. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say class equal to this. Okay, so what will happen? Any content under this div will follow this class style. So I made this one localized style based on what I have declared in this here, right? So now if I save this one also and then come here and then do a deploy to the org. Let's see what I get. Okay, so if I now go back here and then do a refresh, I will see this become bold and then the color is green, right? Do you all follow? So now what I'm doing is, in my component, I have introduced one CSS file where I have declared the style, which is color as green and the font as bold, and then I'm applying this into my div. Okay, any question, guys?
No. Suman, just one small thing. Like, can we have space between the name of LWC? Like, for example, when I'm creating a project, so
Mhm.
can I create like hello space world?
No, you should not do that. No, it has to be one word.
Okay.
And based on the casing, it will distinguish. Meaning, let's say if I want to uh, if I let's say want to use this hello world in any other component, so I have to use c hyphen hello hyphen world, right? So what you are saying is, let's say if I do like this, create a lightning web component, see what it says. uh, Enter the desired file name, right? So you mean to say hello space world, right?
Yes.
Let me see if it allows me. It says what? It's failed, right?
Yes.
Yes,
It,
right.
it, it failed. So it gives you an error. Hmm. And what is that error? See, name must contain only alphanumeric characters. So space is not an alphanumeric character, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, you can play around. You will see which works and which not. And if something doesn't work, either you are not doing something meaningful, or it has a bug. So most probably it will not have a bug, because it's a enterprise level product, and it is made uh, available to the market after so many testing. So there could be something that you are missing, that you have to find out. Okay, and there should be some reason for that, definitely. Any question from anyone?
No.
Okay, are you guys all following well?
Yes.
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 Okay, so now let's do one thing. You see, here I have the JS file, okay, where I write all these codes. Hmm. And then you see, I mean, it says import lightning elements from LWC, which means this is the namespace, and you are inheriting whatever is written from the lightning element into your component, so that you can extend the lightning component, right? So there has to be some base. So if you take the example, the guys who doesn't understand the concept of inheritance or the polymorphism, right? uh, so from our parent, we are extension of our parent, meaning we are representing our parents and then getting the behavior of our parents into us, plus we are adding some more, right? If you realistically look at you, so what you have in you is what your parent and the ancestors had, and in addition to those, you have something else. So you are extending that generation with with you by inheriting things from your parents, and above, and plus you are adding some. So when you have your next generation, so you will pass all those things to your next generation, and then they will have their own things. So this is the same thing where uh, we are actually importing all the things from the Lightning Web component so that we can use. I mean, the button that we use, the other things that we use, right? So if I, let's see, if I delete this, and then if I try to use all these one, it will not work. You can do a try there. And this is what not only we are importing, but also we can export what we are mentioning here. Meaning, if if some other component is extending this component, so they can not only import this one, but they can also use this component feature that I'm going to create here, right? So you will get to know. I mean, these are a little bit of advanced topic that you can use, but the whole point is you can extend or you can inherit it any other component. That's why we have this export. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's declare one variable. I'm declaring one variable here called greetings. Okay, and then I'm saving it. And if I, let's say, I will deploy it later. Now here, what I'm doing is I'm just replacing this. I mean, initially we wrote something hello world right here. So what I'm doing is I'm just writing like this. Okay, hello greetings. What will I do is deploy the source. So the funder here is I have a attribute or the variable declared here which has some value, and then I'm associating this variable into my HTML. Okay, and how am I doing it is under these braces. So if I declare something under these braces, the system expects that this is a variable declared in my JavaScript, and then it tries to get the values from the JavaScript and then display accordingly. So now if I go here and then try to so do you see this one? Hello from JS, right? So what is happening? I'm seeing the hello from JS coming from the hello from JS is coming from the JS file,
JavaScript.
JavaScript file, right? Understood,
Yes.
everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let me create this one in my one minute. Okay. Hmm. I think I couldn't. I did not. If I do this one. Okay, so I'm doing the greetings and all this one. So now if I go here and then I can get rid of this. Now let's see what I'm doing here. Okay. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm declaring a variable called greetings where it says hello world, for example. So
So,
yeah,
I have one question. Can you
yeah.
please tell me why are you using import lightning element from LWC? Is there any component here LWC?
Right, right. So this is a system framework that I'm importing. So while I'm working doing all these, the system has to know the meaning of all these, right? What is that mean? And
Yes.
what are all these mean? Where this lightning input coming from? How does this page know? Like where it is coming from?
Yeah.
If I let's say if I omit this one, right? So what I'm doing is I am downloading. You see this one.
Hello.
If you see this one, right? This lightning cards and everything. So all these base components, right? Whatever I am using, all different base components, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these all are mentioned in a namespace called LWC.
Okay.
Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm extending I'm extending that, I'm importing that LWC so that I can use. So now, because I'm using this one, where it is written, where it is defined.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I invite you in one of my occasion in my home, I have send you the invitation card. Okay. And while you are coming to my invitation, how do I know? Okay, so this is the person that I know and I can recognize. If someone else has come to me which I have not invited, how do I recognize that person, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
lightning input is a base component. Where I am getting it from? I am getting it from this namespace. I'm getting it from here. So I'm importing this with this name, and then I'm extending this namespace so that now this uh, lightning input is a part of me. I can use it now. Clear?
Okay, just one thing. I'm just telling. Maybe I'm wrong. So just if I create one project, so under project, whenever we are creating a component, so LWC will automatically create it, right?
Yeah. So if you
That-
if you
yeah.
create if you create any, so that is a part of the lightning. When as soon as I do control P creating lightning web component, it knows that it has to create all these basic things. All this came by default
Okay.
because
Acha.
that's how you starts.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's say if I go and then create, let's say testing. Sorry, lightning
No,
web
as
component.
I don't have any knowledge, that is why I'm asking
That's
to
fine.
you.
That's okay. That's okay. So if I'm doing this testing, for example,
Mm-hmm.
so what it is doing, it is creating the lightning component and then see what it gets. By default, it will give you the blank template and also from where you extend your component. Can you exist
Okay.
without your parent? Tell me.
No, no, no.
Yeah, so
That
that's
is
what.
called inheritance. I
Yeah. So it has to come, right? I mean, see now what is there. It is by default giving you this.
Oh,
So
just
if you
like it's
want,
the parent.
it is sort of, you are extending the concept of the LWC, and then you are making your things. You are adding some more things on top of the LWC.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So whenever we are creating a
Same
lightning
thing,
wave
if you look at
component,
the concept, right? If you look at the
yeah,
concept,
uh-huh.
let me, you will understand. So the very basic thing was what? The very basic thing was your HTML, right? Remember the
Yeah,
button example,
yeah,
okay? And then
yeah.
from here, I extended that button with my CSS. So HTML with
Last,
LDS CSS, right? Now
hmm,
that is also the next level is I am getting the lightning button, right?
yeah, okay,
The next level is I am also extending this, and the lightning button is declared where in LWC, right?
okay,
Now it
okay,
in my component I am extending this LWC and then making my thing. And then also, let's say when I'm done with this, with LWC, for example. So now your component, you can also extend mine. So what mine will have, it will have everything underneath, and then you are adding things on top of me. That would be your component. And then let's say someone else's component. It is just reusing things and extending, right?
yeah,
That's how it is happening. So now if I go back here, I'm doing the same thing. I'm extending and then I'm using it. Okay, clear?
okay, yeah,
Okay. So while I'm using the lightning input, what I'm saying is, what is the type of lightning input? It is a text. So I can enter the text. Okay. And what is the level? Level is a text box. Say, let's say uh, my text box. This is the one I want to see that in my level. Placeholder means what you see by default inside the uh, inside the uh, inside the
text box.
text box, right?
Yeah.
And on change is an event. What happens if something changes from here to the something else? So on
Means
change is an event,
anyone is writing something.
right? So someone is writing something. So what happens is, while the value of the input text box is changed, what you want to do? I want to call this JavaScript. Okay. So if any change on the input text box, I want to handle these changes. This is the function called. And what is happening in this one? Event is what it is. The event is what it is sending. Event means it will send the state of the state of the uh, input lightning input box. Okay. And from that state, I have the target value. Target means the element itself, means this one, input. So this is my event. In the event, I have my target, which is this one. Okay. And then target has a value also, means target has a type, target has a label, target has a placeholder, and target has a value also. I want to see the value. So what, can you tell me what should I get from here?
Yeah, it will get, you will get a current value. Means there's someone like instead of type that, if you write that this is a test visual force, so that value will be going to the this dot greeting. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
that value will come here, and then I'm assigning that value inside the greeting. If I want to access, because this is a global variable, that's why I
Yeah,
have to use this with this dot. If I don't If I don't use this one, it will give me an error.
Okay.
So I have to use this dot, means this is the class and the variable, and I'm assigning the value of the text box inside this variable. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm console.log means it will display the log. I'll show you where the log you can see. And then I'm trying to debug. I'm trying to print the log, print the value in my console with the static value. Okay, now let's see how it looks.
Okay. So every time it's following the camel case format, or if I use only small font, it will be occurring in error. For Hello World, I'm just saying that you are using camel case, right?
Where is the hello world I'm using camel case?
Under
Yeah,
LW.
no, this is the camel case, and this camel case will get converted into a kebab case like this. I'll show you that later.
Okay.
But I'm using the camel case to
Oh.
to declare my component, but it will eventually be converted when I'm using it into the kebab case. I'll show you that later.
Okay.
Okay, so now if I go here and if I try to run this, you see types. You see this my text box, right? So where did my text box come from? Tell me where this should come from.
Lightning input.
This label.
Yeah, level. So from the level it is says my text box, right? And this is
Yeah.
my. Now let me type. Let me type and placeholder is type here, right? That's why you see uh, type here written.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now if I do a right click and then inspect, it will open the
Dev console.
dev console, and then not the dev console. It is open the developer extension, so Chrome extension, and then here in the console, if I just clear all these, you will see something is coming. So if I type something, let's say H. Do you see?
Yes.
This is printed. So what is happening? It is a change, right? It had nothing. Now I enter something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so the change happened. So as soon as the change happened, what it did, it actually sends the calls the event on change, handle change, right? So in the handle change, what it is doing, it is changing the value of the greeting first. So from hello world to H only. Okay.
One thing, that is, why are you giving greeting equal to hello world?
It was the initial one. So
If you keep it blank,
wait. So do you see this one? Hello world. It was the initial value that I had with the greetings.
okay. Yeah. Now I got it.
Hello world was the initial value with the greetings. Initial.
Okay.
That's why it was displaying here in my HTML, right?
Yeah.
And then in the lightning input, it was displaying placeholder and the level and the on-change event. So as soon as I type something, so it sends the event, and in this event, it is changing the value of the greeting into whatever I'm sending. So I typed H. So the new value of the greeting is H now, right? That's why you see this value H. Okay, and also I see I am writing the log. That's why you see the value of the greetings. You understand?
Hmm.
Now let me explain one more time. So here initially hello world. Now here, see, look at this one. Look at here, look at this place, and also parallelly look at this place. Okay, two places you have to look. So as soon as I type, let's say M, what will happen? Where at the place I will see changes? Tell me. If I type M,
Both the places.
yeah. So hello world will be changed with M, and console will also type greetings colon M, because I have said display console.log greetings colon space the value, right? So now what
The
will happen is
greetings colon M.
greetings colon M, right? So now if I come here, okay. So now if I type M, see, it says M and here also M. Now again, if I say Y, it is changing the value to my, and then greetings also changing the value. It is all again writing in the console. Okay, so my space and then component. Okay, that's how it is logging the value. So see how many events were called, because in every changes I have made, the event is called. Okay, and then it is changing the value accordingly. Okay, so this behavior, because I mean this is also happening by some feature, because you are changing the values here, and then it is reflecting in this one, and this again reflecting back here. That's why this specific feature is called the track. So it is tracking the value. I mean, whatever I'm changing the value here, it is tracking actually, and then reflecting everywhere. You don't have to specifically do anything else. Okay, so that's why if I, let's say, do testing, okay, it is tracking the value and then reflecting here also. So all the variables which are connected, it is reflecting. Okay, clear to all of you?
Yes, Suman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going little slow. Remember, I mean, when I go fast, you have to make your pace accordingly. So these are the basic things so that you understand and then you can relate. And when I'm done, you look at this presentation and then do all your work at your end. Okay. Okay. So now the next one is, this would be the last topic for today. I think I'm hoping. What is there? Okay. So the next topic is this one, public property. What is the public property, and then how do I do it? So what will I do is, this is a template. Okay, and then let me name the template. So to do items. Okay, I will close this. Create lightning web component. So to do, look at this one. Okay, what I'm doing, item. To what did I do? To do, and then item I is caps. Okay, and then I'm using it, and I'm trying to put it here. and this has become my items. So if I want to paste it here, let's see. Okay, I don't want to use any class for the time being. And see, this is the item name, right? So what will I do is, what I have to do if I, so what is this?
Property.
JavaScript property, yes, property.
JavaScript property, right? So I have to declare a
Yes.
property here. I'm declaring a property here. Saving it and then saving it. Sorry, please. So this has become my property. So if I don't write anything, okay, so this variable is only a property within this class, meaning within this JavaScript, meaning this property can only be used within this HTML and inside the JavaScript class, right? But let's say, for example, if I want to use this from outside the property, so which means if I, let's say, go here, understand this please. You see this one, right? Lightning icon name. So this is a property, right? This is a property of what?
Lightning icon.
Lightning icon. Good. So if I let's say button, right? I'm doing it button, doing it with button, and then if I see this one, right? You see the variant, the label, the titles, these are all the properties of what? Lightning button, right? So which means what? I mean, from this component, I am trying to use this component and then trying to use a property of this component. Okay. So now, if I go back here, if I want to expose this property to the component which is calling this component, then I have to, I mean, okay, let me make it a little easier. If I want to expose this property outside this component, then I have to say at API. Okay. Okay. And then now I wrote API. What does that API mean? So far the component does not understand what does this API mean. So I have to import the API into my component from this LWC. So like I have imported the lightning element, I have to write API. Okay. So as soon as I what 1 minute. Something is terribly bad in my computer, I think. So as soon as I imported the API from the LWC, it understands what does that API mean, and then I'm using the API. So what I'm doing through this one, item name is now exposed outside this component if I want to use it. Okay. So now let me deploy this. So what I have done, I have created one level called item name. which is a variable in my JavaScript, and this variable is not only used within this component, but I have exposed this component outside, which means if someone is using this to do item component, they can use this variable as a public property. Okay, like when we say lightning button, I declare the level, I declare the placeholder, I declare the values. So that way, the item name is also a declarable value. Okay.
It means item name. This means this property can also be used in Hello World component.
Yeah, this can be also used in Hello World component. You want to use it? Let's use that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So now it is deployed, right? So now let's say, let me delete this one. Okay. So now if I go to my Hello World component, so let's say I want to use this one. Guys, bear with me. This would be our probably last topic today. So now, in the Hello World, what I'm writing, see, I can do like this: lightning hyphen input. Like this is the component I can use, right? Now, what I'm doing is I can use C hyphen. Okay. So what is this? To do, and then what I should write?
Testing.
To do what?
Dash item.
Yeah. Why it is dash item?
We are using kebab case.
We are using kebab case. So now you see, to do, to TODO, and item I is the caps. So that's why C means my custom component. L means my lightning based component. And in the lightning component, they have input. Okay. C means my custom component, and then hyphen to do hyphen item means I'm using this component. Okay. So now this is my component I'm using. Now let's say what is the value, what is the variable inside? What was the variable inside?
Item name.
Item name. So
Item.
Item
Name. Item hyphen name.
hyphen,
Dash
Hyphen.
name.
right? Which means this is your API. Okay. Now this equals, let's say, Animesh. Okay, and then I'm closing it. I'm using this component. Okay, so I can use the component again, right? So now let's say this time what I'm doing is I'm using this component and then I'm saying it Suman. Okay. Take some time to understand. It is simple. Let me delete those. Okay, don't need to, so that I can have this. Okay. Yeah. In the JS also I'll delete all this. Okay. So now if I, let's say, deploy this one. Are you understanding all these?
Yes,
Everyone?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So now if I go here and then if I click on the refresh, what will happen? Let's see. Do you see it now? Animation Suman.
Yes.
Okay. So what we have done is, so I have to do item. So how many custom item I have created? Tell me so far.
Testing and to do it.
To do, right?
2.
2. So now, and I'm using this to do item into my hello world. Now if I go here and then this is really so bad. So if I go to how many I should see custom component, guys tell me.
2, 3.
No, 3. I mean I have not, I think, deployed this testing. So if you
Then
if
2.
you don't consider testing, then how many I should see?
2.
2.
Let's see how many I see.
1.
Why is that?
Because you did not
Is
make that
exposed is
true. Yes, this quantified.
Right, very good.
I think it is not exposed.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, if I go to the metadata, I have not exposed this yet,
Yes.
right? But
Right.
because I don't need to, I mean, I did not feel like exposing this to the app builder because this is for my some internal use, for example, right? But I wanted to expose this one. That's why I made it made this expose and then target the component to those elements, right? But I have not exposed these components into my into those targets. That's why it is not showing there. Okay,
okay.
Yes.
all clear so far. Any question from anyone? This is, I mean, we will conclude now, but I just wanted to make sure that you all understood this. See, I'm still going slow because I want you to understand all these concepts first. If you understand the concept, if you can relate things with examples, then the coding is very easy. I'm telling you again and again, coding is not a difficult thing to do. People don't feel like coding well because they don't relate things. That's it. To understand one language, it does not take more than 2 to 3 weeks. You can do it because it's all combination of if condition for loops, okay, and using the variables and then creating the HTML tags. That's it. But you have to understand the pattern. I mean, why I'm getting it, how I am inheriting, why I'm using it, how do I declare it, how it is shown. Am I understanding all this? If you understand all this concept behind the scene, it would be easy for you. I can tell you that. Okay. So just a recap of this one. I have created this component to do made add API so that it can be exposed outside the world. So let's say if I just try by yourself, if I delete this one, okay, and go here, it will give me an error because at that point of time I won't be able to get this one because it is not exposed through the API to the public property. Okay. I think I have covered this one. I will do this one tomorrow next time. There is one example that we may need to do. Yeah, so mostly we have done this. I thought to cover this one today also, but that's okay. We can do it next day. One thing I would like you guys to do is if you can do all these, I mean by the end of your training, you should be a pro to this. So you see this one, right? So you see the LWC recipes, right? It describes whatever I have discussed. So if I go here, view in GitHub, right? You can get all the examples. Like, see, they have uploaded all the structure. So here, if I go to the LWC, you will see all different code. Like, let's say hello world. See, you can go and take a look one by one. So look at the sample gallery and then look at this LWC recipe. It has everything almost. So I will paste this one into your Meet. This would be your homework. Start using this one. Okay. And if you also want to see the examples that I have mentioned. So if you go to my GitHub repository, you will see slide wise it is given examples. So if you go here, you will get to know. This is this is the GitHub of the Trailhead sample gallery. You start using this one, and this is my GitHub, and then I have most of the uploaded examples are uploaded in this GitHub. So if I want to relate, for example, so let's say slide number 13, right? So slide number 13 is the hello world. Okay, this is the example. So if you go to my slide and then look at the number 13, you will see the example is uploaded in here in this GitHub. Okay, do you follow it?
Yes, Suman.
Yes, Suman.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you look at all these examples, like 15, 16, 18. Okay, and then try to look at the slides and then see the examples. You can refer those examples, and also you refer the example of the LWC recipes. Okay.
Okay.
So any question before we conclude today and then start in our next session on Wednesday? Anything that you have not understood?
So Suman, so in the JavaScript file, the access specifier of our class is default. So why it is default access specifier?
What access specifier you are talking about?
Default access specifier of our class in JavaScript file.
Yeah, because it is default. I mean, it is by default exposed.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to stop that one, I mean, you can declare not to. I mean, you declare your variables like that. Don't expose, but it is by default. Uh, Default, it can be exported to the other component.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? All good?
Yeah, let's do practice.
All good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, let's do practice, and then I think you should be good.
Yeah,
Okay?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, reach out to Animesh. He can help anytime during your all times. But you all should be good. Okay, don't worry. Try to relate whatever we have discussed with examples, because examples and the stories are the very right thing to understand things. Okay.
Okay, so
Have a nice evening, guys. Bye bye. Take care.
bye.
yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye bye, Suman.